Mike Norvell and Florida State might be finishing off this 2025 recruiting class with a bang. They're after a lot of unsigned prospects. They've been very busy in the transfer portal, but as we know, with early signing day wrapped up, which I think the Florida State Seminoles did a really good job in, just going back to after a 2-10 season, you had to deal with the whole NCAA schedule and with the overhaul of a new staff coming in for Florida State on the offensive and defensive side with 2 new coordinators coming in. I thought they did a good job there, and they might be finishing off with some big time targets that could be immediate impact factors for Florida State moving forward. Florida State, per Steve Wiltfong from On3, recruiting expert there, says Florida State is in the mix for a 5-star offensive tackle. And this time, this would be a massive, massive addition for Herb Hand, Florida State's new offensive line coach. But there is going to be competition. First, Steve Wiltfong saying Mike Norvell and the Seminoles are trying to recruit you if you can play. And sure enough, yes, they're trying to bring in some guys. And if you can bring in a 5-star talent like this cat, 100%. 6'5", 285 pounds. He's ranked as the number 20th overall recruit in the 2025 recruiting class. But there's one thing here worth mentioning. He is currently still committed to Alabama, but Wiltfong mentioned that he does not expect him to go to the Crimson Tide. This seems to be a race between some big competition here, really primarily Michigan and also Texas Tech. Texas Tech has been throwing money and NIL offers everywhere, all over the place. Some that Florida State lost out on and some of the transfer portal side of things. But nonetheless, still at the high school level, Texas Tech is pushing a lot, and they've done a successful job so far, landing a lot of 4-stars in their class. But Florida State is not only just after Ty Haywood, but they've been after another top 10 prospect in their unit, including Zahir Mathis, a top 10 edge prospect, 6'6", 240, really with elite athleticism as well, which would be an immediate impact kind of guy on the defensive side of the ball. But Ty Haywood is getting a lot of interest across the country, but it seems like Florida State is in a good spot here. Michigan, though, I would say would be leading and the favorite right now as we speak. Florida State, though, if you're looking at what they've done this offseason, it's been really impressive under Herb Hand in just a short amount of time that he's arrived in Tallahassee. I mean, let's look at it. I mean, what they've done in the transfer portal, you found a new starting left tackle with Gunnar Hansen, really well experienced SEC level lineman. And then you go over and you landed Micah Pettis, 6'7", 360, 29 starts at Ole Miss at the SEC level. He's going to be your right tackle, projected starter moving forward. He had a PFF grade of 74 in run blocking and 66.4 in pass blocking, and most certainly is expected to start immediately. And then probably one of your biggest gets at the offensive line, who I think this is like the glue to that O-line, is bringing in Luke Pettibon from Wake Forest. Really, really, really well experienced center, all ACC honorable mention in 2024, but it really helped strengthen that interior offensive line that, going back, Florida State lacked in. I think a lot of things that were just miscommunication. I mean, it was hard to do that too and build chemistry when you had Alex Atkins shuffling around players left and right. I mean, now it wasn't even just week to week shuffling players, but it was almost like 2 or 3 times, 4 times in games. Didn't make much sense to me. Florida State's got to find chemistry in that offensive line and keep guys out there. They also brought in Adrian Medley, someone with really good chemistry, obviously coming from UCF, with that coming from Gus Malzahn's offense as well, but a versatile interior offensive lineman that you could plug around at the left guard or right guard position, just depending on your depth. But going to Ty Haywood, Florida State, hell yeah. I mean, whatever you've got to do, go right ahead and do what you need to do. I mean, it goes down to what his relationship is with Herb Hand. He's already made a visit to Florida State, but it seems like it's going to be a race here between Florida State and Michigan. I would favor Michigan here, but you just never know with these type of things. You just got to see where the heart lies for Haywood, and also, too, you got to also think about NIL, and the Michigan is always a favorite on that side of thing. Of course, they brought in Bryce Underwood, who I think was a projected NIL of like a $10 million investment there for them. And two, Michigan just got the win against Alabama in this bowl game just a day ago. So there's momentum rolling on Michigan's side, also to beating Ohio State this year as well. But something to most certainly keep an eye on here, and we'll see if Florida State's able to garner a visit, because that would tell us a lot before we get to that traditional signing day at the beginning of February. So let me know what you think about in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. Definitely would appreciate it as we continue to grow here, and greatly appreciate you hanging out for us and watching the video.